How do we take disjointed ancient writings and translate them into a unified framework of belief? That is the core challenge of theological study. The process begins at the foundational level with exegesis. This is the rigorous extraction of meaning from highly localized individual texts. The strict rule here is to draw beliefs out of the text, carefully avoiding the imposition of our own outside ideas. At the other end of the spectrum is systematic theology, sometimes called dogmatics. This discipline takes scriptural truths and organizes them into abstract, timeless categories, like the doctrine of God or the doctrine of man. But a methodological danger arises when jumping directly from exegesis to systematics. Doing so rips verses entirely out of time. It creates a scenario where a verse from Genesis is equated directly with a verse from Malachi, completely ignoring the vast historical context separating them. Bypassing the historical reality of the text leaves theology vulnerable to subjective organization. Without an anchoring mechanism, we create a structural void in biblical studies. In the 17th century, a scholar named Johann Philipp Gabler recognized this void and introduced a framework that challenged how theology was processed. Gabler argued there must be an intermediate step between analyzing individual verses and building broad doctrines. This middle step needed a purely historical character to track how ideas actually evolve. He grounded this in the concept of progressive revelation. God's self-revelation did not happen all at once. It matured sequentially, starting with the patriarchs, moving to Moses, and continuing through the prophets. Gabler defined this required middle layer as biblical theology. It exists as a distinct discipline, specifically to bridge the gap between localized exegesis and abstracted systematics. This framework forces scholars to read the text chronologically. It ensures that doctrine is built on the historical maturation of ideas, rather than isolated proof texting. Applying this framework introduces a major variable that fractures the discipline: how scholars handle the literal historicity of Old Testament events. The theologian Gerhard von Rad developed a synthetic approach, often called Heilsgeschichte, or salvation history. Von Rad's premise is that the objective historical reality of an event matters less than what Israel believed happened. For him, the focus is entirely on the subjective confession of faith and the literary retelling of the story. G.E. Wright countered this subjective literary approach with a strictly historically grounded methodology. Wright argued that theology cannot be divorced from objective history. If God reveals himself in literal historical acts, we require physical evidence, like archaeology, to verify the context of that revelation. An evangelical model of biblical theology requires this foundation of objective history. A faith based solely on subjective literary confession collapses if the underlying events never actually occurred. Once history is established, another structural challenge emerges: identifying the central organizing node, or theme, that ties the entire Old Testament timeline together. Walter Eichrodt proposed the definitive theological center of the Old Testament is the concept of the covenant. His model connects discrete historical interventions into a cohesive framework. The Mosaic covenant at Sinai acts as an anchor, bringing all other themes into alignment. Klaus Westermann offered a different theory. He argued the center is not a series of discrete events, but rather the continuous, flowing reality of blessing. This represents a quiet, continuously working common grace that runs uninterrupted across all eras. Taking yet another perspective, Walter Zimmerli cautioned against forcing artificial literary constructs onto the text. For Zimmerli, the true center is simply God himself. While identifying a single center remains heavily debated among scholars, defining these unifying themes is the only way to track God's overarching activity across centuries of isolated books. The scholar Brevard Childs added a crucial boundary to this methodology: canonical analysis. In this context, Childs defines the canon as the received, collected, and interpreted material stabilized by the community of faith over time. Childs argued that biblical theology cannot be done in an academic vacuum. It inherently requires the historic church's interpretive boundaries to function correctly. Take the exclusion of apocryphal texts as a concrete example. These writings were filtered out because the early church's universal geographic testimony determined they lacked canonical authority. The historic church is the necessary ecosystem for this discipline. The community of faith provides the stabilized dataset that the theologian must analyze. For the Christian theologian, there is one ultimate structural requirement left: the integration of the New Testament. The Old Testament inherently bears witness to a Christ who has not yet come. Without it, the New Testament is entirely incomprehensible. The methodological integration of these two testaments centers on the Gospel of Luke, specifically the encounter on the road to Emmaus. Jesus issues a mandate to his disciples, explaining that all scriptures must be read as concerning himself. He specifically illuminates the things written about him beginning with Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms. Because of this, practicing pure Old Testament theology in isolation is methodologically impossible for the Christian. The historical timeline must be tracked forward, but it must be interpreted backward through the lens of Christ. We now have a fully constructed three-part model for evangelical biblical theology. Step 1 begins with a rigorous exegesis of individual documents to extract localized truth directly from the text. Step 2 passes that data through canonical biblical theology. This tracks the progressive historical revelation of those truths across the timeline. Step 3 arrives finally at systematic theology, where these historically vetted truths are organized into cohesive topical doctrine. Neither biblical nor dogmatic theology is an end in itself. They are vital methodological tools designed to ensure rigorous, historically grounded access to the living voice of God.